The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 17 NFL recap. We're going to try to look ahead to the Week 18 spreads if they are available. We do not know right now, at least, if they're available or not, because I can't look at them to go search, and we'll figure out what's going on. Cust is in studio. Kenny Kim is on the line. Commies fan, big commie guy. But Kenny, how you feeling about tonight's Sunday Night Football game?
I'm a little nervous. You know, the Commanders definitely beat the teams they should beat, and they haven't really beaten any good teams. I don't know whether Atlanta falls into the good or teams they should beat category, but I'm definitely nervous. Lattimore's out. That hurts. If we have St. Juice on the field, he's going to fuck everything up. So I'm already planning on disappointment right now, but I'm ready for this game. I'm ready. I'm happy to be where I am in Week 17. No matter the outcome of this game.
See, you say that, but it's like when people are like, oh, I'm up. Like everyone who goes to casinos regularly, I suppose, not everyone in the world, has been on a heater at one point in time. And they're up way too much money. So they bought in with $200 and all of a sudden they're up $3,000. And you're like, oh, it's all right. You know, even if I lose this next $500, I'll walk out up $2,300. This will be fantastic. But it never goes that way. Like, Kenny, once you get the house money, now you expect to have more. And I feel like that's where you guys are going to be very soon.
Okay, don't get me wrong. like I still think we can win the Super Bowl. But like where we are in the grand scheme, like we shouldn't be this far along. Right? I mean, honestly, having the schedule we had with the worst record last year in the NFC East, helped. You know, we're playing a lot of shitty teams. We've beaten all the shitty teams. We're doing our job, which is something that we normally haven't done. The only bad loss, I guess, would be against the Cowboys. But everyone else we've taken care of. We've had troubles beating the good teams. We finally got that off of our, monkey off of our back last week with the Eagles. So I'm excited. I mean, the thing is, once you get into this playoffs, J85 is so good that anything can happen. I think that's how I'm dreaming about the playoff situation. And if we win this week, we get the 6th seed. We play the Rams. We could beat the Rams. Please get the number 1 seed, which is possible, depending on the outcome of this game. What happens next week? We could play them in the second round. They don't really scare me. You know what I'm saying? Like I know they're a great team. I know they have a great record. But that's the team that I'd like to face in the divisional playoffs. And I'm already looking way farther than I should be. We haven't even made the playoffs yet. I'm saying all this shit right now, probably bringing bad luck. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Well, we're still sweating the end of this Packers-Vikings game. Very reminiscent, as you said, of the first game between these teams when the Vikings jumped out to a huge lead and then tried to gag it away. But there was a play, what was that, the beginning of the third quarter? It was on that screen route to Jefferson where the Packers almost jumped it.
Oh, yeah, it was nearly a pick six.
And Darnold has played, he's made some nice throws in the second half, but he started, this happens in a lot of games where they jump out to because they played from ahead almost the entire season. I think it's something like they've played 80% of their offensive snaps with the lead so far this year, which is crazy to think about. That's how good they've been, how good their defense especially has been in the first half. But he's just little things that you're watching, you're like, man, if that's just like 1 inch that way, it's a pick six. That maybe I'm looking too much into it with Minnesota, where it's not even that I care about Minnesota either way. Like, obviously, they're a good team. And I don't think they're a house of cards, but it still feels to me like Darnold can be a house of cards.
Oh, he totally can be. Every game, once or twice, he throws a pass or something. You're like, oh, that's the old Sam Darnold. I know what he's doing. He's trying to throw this game away, too. It's like, oh, boy. So, yeah, I don't have a great deal of faith in them.
So we'll go over that game more once it comes to its conclusion. It's 27-25. Vikings have the ball at the 2-minute warning. The Packers have all 3 timeouts. So they could get the ball back here. If they had taken that field goal earlier in the game, like Tom Brady said, then all of a sudden they'd be fine.
Yeah, that's right. And Tom knew it would be a tie game because they wouldn't have gone for 2 on the touchdown probably. So.
Well, I mean, Tom is maybe when you make one certain decision in a game, it tends to affect what happens the rest of the game.
Yes, it does.
But to quote Tom Brady, here, Kenny, if you don't get it on 4th down, it's basically a turnover.
That sounds about right. He's not lying.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be basically a turnover. It is a turnover.
Like I said, he's not lying.
No.
He's not that great at what he's doing yet, right? I expect he'll get better, right? I mean, the man has a bunch of knowledge out there. I mean, everyone tries to, uh, when it comes down to the new announcers, it's like they look to Romo because of how strong he started, and he's sort of fallen off too. It seems like his prep isn't really there for when he does his shows, but I think Tom will be fine. The guy has so much knowledge, so much experience. He's going to bring something to the telecast once he gets smoother and more comfortable.
Tim, do you remember what Tom's favorite throw of the day was?
Oh, the one that looked just like the throw he used to make. Like, oh, that's a great pass because it looks like my type of pass. Thanks.
Thanks for illuminating that.
Actually, he was awful today. He called some runs today. He sort of knew what the Vikings were going to do offensively. So, this was not his worst performance. But, yeah, I don't know really how much he's contributing to my understanding of the game when I watch him. Not as much as I'd like to see. You have two young, successful quarterbacks in this game, and I would have liked more conversation about what is it that Darnold's looking at here? What is it? Now, he did that one time where he said, here's why Darnold audibled out of this play. He's canning the old call. He's moving this. Like he had his moments where I thought he had some strong performance today, but.
And I don't think it's necessarily that Romo has gotten worse, Kenny, over time. I think we've just become, he was so different when he came in, and now we're just kind of used to him.
I feel like he's just not as prepared as he used to be. Like, he doesn't bring the juice like he did in his first couple of seasons. It's sort of like he's, going through the motions. Like, a lot of people do in their job after they've done it for a long enough time and they get the big payday. So I guess it's not that shocking. But I think he'll be fine. I think the big mistake is, moving Greg Olsen down because he seems like he's the best guy out there.
He does, and it's a Cam Akers catch on 3rd and 2 for a first down. The Packers are down to one timeout with 1:44 left, which means
that's sort of it.
That's curtains for you,
Basically.
Green Bay Packers. Unless Darnold does something really funky, or they Shiano him.
Yeah, so I mean that means still that the Commanders could catch them theoretically. I don't think they can win a tiebreak, but
but if they win, you can't.
No, they do have the tiebreak.
They win a
They have a tiebreak over the Packers.
So if
we win today, we're the 6th seed going into the next week.
Which is where you want to be. You don't want to be going to Philadelphia in round 1, I don't think.
So,
no. I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, this brings up something pretty fun in this game because we were talking about it inside because I was looking at my fantasy championship and I have a 2v2 on Monday night. I have Gibbs and St. Brown against Kittle and Purdy. But you brought up the game no longer means anything to Detroit. Like, do they bench their guys this week for their showdown with the Vikings next week and try to make sure that no one gets hurt because that's a win and get the 1 seed? The outcome on Monday Night Football is irrelevant to Detroit.
Yeah, the Eagles can't win a tiebreak with either Minnesota or with the Lions, right? So I don't know what Detroit has to play for tomorrow night. It seems like they sort of have a week to be idle before the win and in, lose and go to the 5-seed game. So if you have some Lions guys tomorrow night in fantasy, like all of them, how much are they going to play? I mean, Dan Campbell does seem like the type of guy that in week 6 or week 17, he's going to play his guys as long as he can. And this seems like a win over San Francisco, to exercise some demons from last year that he's going to want to win. But if they get up or down by 13 points in the fourth quarter, will they pull off because they don't need the game? I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. If you have, he
seems like the coach that'll play. Week 17, that could be like a 2.5 week break for the starters.
Well, no, because they have to play next first. No, because they have to play next week.
True.
So I'm saying you got everybody make sure that everyone's 100% healthy for the win and get the 1 seed game next week against the Vikings. Which they haven't announced it as a Sunday night game, but I think there's a extremely strong likelihood that will be the Sunday night game.
Well, that's something that I wanted to talk about with you guys is how this Week 18 scheduling is going to go because we've been kind of debating it all day in the room about what goes. So there's 2 games that have to go on Saturday, and then there has to be a Sunday night game if they choose to take it.
Yeah.
And now it seems very obvious that it has to be Detroit and Minnesota.
Yes.
Nothing else even Broncos Chiefs with Carson Wentz starting at quarterback is not really moving the needle.
No, and there is a chance that Broncos Chiefs could actually be irrelevant by that game starts based on how Cincinnati and Miami do earlier in the day. Whereas nothing can affect what will happen in Minnesota, Detroit.
So what do you think happens for the 2 games on Saturday? Then?
Well,
what are the most likely?
They have to pick games that have some sort of playoff implication. So my thought is they'll pick games where seeding is on the line. And if it were me, I think it would be Packers-Bears and it would be Chargers-Raiders as the 2 games I'd pick because there's still some seeding consequential stuff to be had there but nothing that would disenfranchise one of the teams. Because really the only things up for grabs are the NFC South. They'll play together on Sunday night or on Sunday next week. And the last AFC wildcard game, I think all those three games will be at 5 o'clock. Meaning the only thing that else could matter is you could play the Rams and Seahawks first. Now, I don't know if the Rams clinched their division today.
I think they need Washington because they needed Cleveland to beat Miami. They needed the Bills to win. There was a whole scenario.
Because that has to be a late game if it goes on Sunday. Like, it has to be a 4 o'clock Eastern start because you cannot play them at no, you can't play them.
Yeah, there was, let's see here, I have it here. The Rams can clinch even after the Seahawks won on Thursday night with Washington, Minnesota, San Francisco, Buffalo, Cincinnati, or Cleveland win. They need 4 of those. And Minnesota won, Buffalo won, and Cincinnati won. So if Washington wins tonight, the Rams will clinch the NFC West.
Yeah, or if San Francisco wins tomorrow night.
Correct.
So given that I think they're going to give the schedule out tonight, they probably won't put that game in there. Of course, if should Washington lose, Seattle would still be live for a wild card.
Yes.
They could go to 10-7, and they can win some tie breaks at 10-7. So same as Tampa could win some tie breaks at 10-7 or Atlanta. So yeah, I think if it were me, the smart play is let's take Packers, Bears. Let's take Chargers, Raiders. They're going to be consequential for seeding, and we'll just play them there.
I think you play the AFC game, the Cincinnati Steelers and the Dolphins game on Saturday.
But if they both play, Kenny, and they both lose, then you got nothing on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Then the Broncos game doesn't matter.
True.
So you can only play one of them. And the Bengals one would make the most sense only because they need Miami to lose as well as Denver losing. So you could play Bengals Steelers because that's for the division as well.
And if you can throw the Steelers onto primetime, they just played on a Saturday anyway.
And a Wednesday.
But what did they play? Yeah, they played on Saturday, right?
They played on Wednesday.
They played on Wednesday, and the Bengals played on Saturday. So maybe you throw them into that game. Because like you said, that it matters for the Steelers in terms of seeding. If they win and the Ravens lose, they get the 3 seed. And then the Bengals, if they lose, they're out. But if they win, then they put the pressure on the other teams. It is relatively unfair.
The only unfair thing would be that Baltimore would know whether or not they need to play their guys in the last week of the year.
So does it have to be playoff seeding on Saturday?
Playoff implications have to be in play in both of those games.
So you can only pick your poison so many times on this one.
So the 2 games that I threw you out are relatively safe. They aren't that consequential, but they can affect seeding. Yeah, it would be fun if they put on Bengals Steelers and then put on one other game. And then at least the Bengals, because the Bengals losing would have no effect on the wild card race. Denver and Miami would still be live. You still have that going on. But if you're Baltimore, you would know whether your game matters or not. And you could then, in essence, have the bye week you wouldn't have gotten otherwise because you could sit all your guys on Sunday. Whereas if you play the Steelers and Ravens games concurrently, Baltimore have got to play their guys until they, to win. Because they can't afford to lose.
No, I mean, if it was me, I would throw Denver out against Kansas City to get Mahomes in that spot. I'm sure the networks would appreciate it. I get what you're saying, but it's a fun win in for Denver. Most of the games on Sunday aren't going to mean anything anyway.
No, but like if you're the NFL and you're trying to drive eyeballs to the Week 18 games,
they get eyeballs. They get eyeballs on Sunday.
The best juice is having Bengals, Dolphins, and Broncos all playing concurrently, all playing at 4
the best juice is that we can bet on these games, so we'll watch them regardless.
So I don't think they would do that. I don't think it would be fair to the rest of the NFL.
Agreed.
I think they have to take that fairness into consideration, which is why I think the Baltimore game also can't be or the Steelers can't be a pick, because Baltimore would get a free bye essentially if the Steelers lose that they wouldn't have gotten if they were playing concurrently.
And Philadelphia, you can't throw into that spot because they can't move from 2.
They can't, but
can they still?
Philly is playing New York. That game is meaningless. So there's no wild. Philly is locked into the 2 seed unless Minnesota and Detroit were to tie next week, because then 14-3 is stronger than 13-3-1 or something like that. If the Lions lose tomorrow night, both the Lions and Vikings would be 13-3, and a tie would make them 13-3-1. 14-3 from Philly would be stronger than that.
So I guess if the Lions lose tonight, although they could still
play tomorrow, and I think they're going to put the schedule out tonight.
Okay.
I don't know that for a certainty, but I would expect either at halftime of the Sunday night game or at the conclusion of the Sunday night game, they'll put that out.
Kenny, do you think they'll run Barkley back out there in a meaningless game to see how many yards he can get?
I mean, it makes sense with Sirianni as coach because he's a fucking idiot. So I wouldn't be that shocked about it because that dude is like fucking horrible and I hate him. Fuck the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, it's a big record. If the thing is, from what I hear about Saquon, it seems like he isn't really chasing it, doesn't really need it. But as a teammate, as a coach, I sort of would want him to get it. It's sort of like an award that goes for the entire offense, not just for the running back. It's big for the offensive lineman as well to have that type of thing. That you block for the best running back of all time for their best year. So I could see them at least for the first half going out there. I mean, he passed the 2,000 yard mark today. How many does it need to beat Dickerson? Dickerson's still the number one, right?
Yeah, it's 21:05. I think if I were the Eagles, I'd say, okay, Saquon,
I mean,
what do you want to do?
He get that first half.
I'd say to Saquon, do you want to play or do you not want to play? This record's in play. It doesn't mean anything to us. If we're up to us, we'd have you sit, but you have a chance to break this record. You decide. Do you want to play and we'll support it? Do you want to rest and we'll support it? Leave it in the players' hands. If I were coaching this game, that's totally what I would do. I would leave it to Saquon to decide.
And the same
There's
thing.
got to be a clause too in his contract for something.
Probably.
For extra money.
So,
you would.
Well,
think,
I'm sure he's hit his extra money rushing for over 2,000 yards at this point.
Yeah, and if I were the Eagles, I'd say, I'll cut you a check
That's
for that difference, if that's the difference. Like,
here's a sponsorship from one of Jeffrey Loria's random things.
if you want to play because you want to break this record, you want to be out there, God bless, we'll be with you. But if not, then no, that's perfectly fine. We would normally sit you in this game.
But there's a couple other circumstances, like, I don't know, is Mahomes going to play at all next week? I would
be shocked.
I would think that he plays a little bit
Andy
because they
Reid-
have a bye again.
I know, but Andy Reid's history has been in those Week 18 games, even if they've got a bye, nobody plays. That's been his history. He's not afraid to just bench people. So my guess would be Kelsey sits, Mahomes sits, all their important guys sits, Ford on the defense sits. That's what I would expect to happen. So, and I'm so excited to see Carson Wentz ruin Sean Payton's Sunday. That would make me. You've no idea how happy that would make me.
Well, there's a Sean Payton thing coming up here. How good is my take aging of the Broncos should play in every Island game? They only play exciting games.
How Sean Payton didn't know last night that a tie was just as good as a win and didn't play for that tie once the Bengals missed that short field goal was baffling to me. So run that ball, eat that clock, because a tie, you can throw it on third down, but a tie is every bit as good of a win. What are you doing throwing the ball like that?
Okay, so the other thing that goes along with this, Kenny, that I was thinking about is, do we give the people who are head coaches, front office guys, players, even someone like Tom Brady, do we give them far too much credit for knowing the rules of football when they might actually not know them or actual game situations? Because there was a bunch of instances this week that made no sense to me.
I mean, I don't know. We grew up playing Madden, and we sort of figured out all the stuff that we needed to figure out growing up. I mean, these coaches, some of these older coaches are just old and they're sort of out of date. I mean, a lot. I know some people have an assistant that just walks around with the coach and tells them, what the right analytic play is and what the smart play is. And I think it's coming into, you see that in the NFL a lot more nowadays. Everyone going for two, going for the fourth downs, and stuff like that. You're seeing it sort of come into the NFL in the last 5 years. All this different, making the smart play, making the numbers play. It's become more and more the way it is now, right? So I think people are learning and they are, contributing to that factor way more than it used to be. But I'm sure there's still coaches out there that still don't know every single situation.
Yeah, it was brought up by Drew in the chat that after the game, he said that the reason that they didn't go for two, because Sean Payton said he knew that the tie was good for them, but he didn't coach that way.
No, he didn't coach as if the
So
tie
he was lying. It was like when he said that they practiced the free kick at halftime during the free kick game. I'm sure you fucking did, Sean Payton.
Please.
But there's another one. That's an esoteric one that only you knew. But Jim Harbaugh had no idea that was a thing until the ref told him.
No, he sent Herbert out onto the field. He didn't know the rule. The refs had to say, by the way, you actually have a choice here. So, yeah.
One thing before we go anywhere, I just threw a tweet into the chat. I published my best ball rankings and strategy as an article on Twitter. If you guys could go to @thepme on Twitter and retweet that for me, I needed to get some traction. I just published it. That would be very helpful for me. And smash the like while you're here. I wouldn't even throw lots of promo codes besides promo code Mayo at Underdog down your throat for you. But if you could go do that, I would very much appreciate it. Kenny, the first golf show is out too. on the network, and me and Jeff will be dropping very early tomorrow morning because it's already recorded. But back to the rule thing for a second. I saw Pizzola tweet this out, and he's right. And it's funny just to see the defense of where people come from, because once you hear like old school football logic for so long, it just gets ingrained in you, and you think it's like the people who say drive for show, putt for dough, when that is actually the exact opposite of what works in golf.
Yeah.
You make money by driving it really far. Like how many of the top players are great putters? Basically none of them.
Yeah.
The great putters are the guys who like scratch to get their torque hard at the end.
That's right.
But it was them kicking the field goal on third down. Now, I don't have a problem with them trying the field goal early. It's not what I would have done, but you don't. So it ended up working out for them because they miss it. Then there was enough time left.
Yes.
But why run the extra play? If you were committed to running it, if you were committing it to kicking it on third down, why wouldn't you just kick it on second down to save even more time and not waste another 27 seconds?
No sense.
If that was going to be your plan anyway, to go do it and not try to get the first down. So that didn't make much sense to me. And then the common argument that we've always heard is, well, you got to kick it on third down in case there's a bad snap. When was the last time
Never.
you remember that happen?
Never, ever. Never seen it happen.
Romo in the playoffs against the Seahawks 15 years ago.
Yeah,
It's such an outlier situation, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
That you could just try to get the first down and try to win the game, which they eventually did. But saving all that time was the key, that if you missed it and you were convinced that you're going to kick it in the first place, save as much time as you can so you can get the ball back.
Ross Tucker did a great job describing yesterday in the Chargers-Patriots game why you should go for it on fourth down. And he sort of wove it together with actually, this is all part of old school thinking. It's about tendencies. It's about maximizing opportunities. You don't have to come from a strictly analytical model to understand the value of making some aggressive plays during the game. Also, the Bengals can't stop anybody, right? They have the worst defense. You have a stronger than 50% chance of winning the game going for two in that spot if you're Denver than you do going to overtime where it's 50-50.
Well, let me ask you this right now, Kenny. You have a chance tonight. Let's say at the buzzer, Jaden Daniels throws another Hail Mary, and my guy Zacchaeus comes down with it. Shout out Zacchaeus in this game. And they can kick an extra point to force it to overtime, or they have a chance to make the playoffs by going for two, sight and scene. They don't have to worry about anything else. Wouldn't you take that?
I don't know, man.
Really?
It just depends on it just depends on the situation. What if we stopped them 6 straight times in a row, or something like that? You know what I'm saying? And we came back and scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, and we've held them to nothing in the last 2.5 quarters of play.
I think you go for it.
I think in that situation, you kick the field goal, and then you've been stopping him on D for the majority of the game.
You have such an exciting quarterback who's tailor-made for 2-point plays.
And that was the thing with Bo Nix too. You can't run the ball. Although Jaleel McLaughlin was running the ball really well in that game.
But don't you agree that it's harder to score the closer you are to the goal line?
I only need to score 51% of the time to make it more valuable than overtime.
Yeah, and in overtime, you might not even get the ball. Now,
We've seen that this year.
And listen, it's not like the Washington defense is absolutely lights out, Kenny.
No, exactly.
All I'm saying is if that was a situation in the game, say they hadn't scored in two plus quarters, and they haven't been doing any drives, and we had to come back, we tie the game in the last second, or we're down by 1. I kick the extra point, go to OT, stop them again.
I don't think
you've been stopping him for a long enough amount of time. Now, if they've been, if it's a shootout, and it's back and forth, then maybe you go for 2, just so you can end it because you don't know if your D can stop it. I mean, the thing is, you could put all these numbers and analytics and try to put these right pieces in, but you got to look at the whole picture of the game too.
What would happening. What would Dan Campbell do?
Dan Campbell, go for it.
What would Dan Campbell do? That's what I would do.
But also, Detroit, the one thing that we even
Dan Campbell was going for in his own 30 last week.
Hey,
he was not.
Okay. Let me ask you this: what is Washington on fourth down this year, Kenny? Because I believe I had the number as of last week, so it might be a bit different.
I think they're 12 out of 16. They're really, really good.
I think they're 16 of 18 or 16 of 19,
something like that.
So they're
they're really good.
But if you have the right personnel, that's why I thought. I mean, it's Cincinnati's defense; they're absolute dog shit. Go for it anyway. But Bo Nix's mobility, I just think opens up a lot more. You can spread everyone out. You can run a QB draw. You can roll him out to the strong side of the field to give him a running lane or a little dump off. Imagine now putting Jaden Daniel into that situation with a team that can actually run the ball with Brian Robinson in a short yardage situation. I think I would go for it. I might not get it. And the thing is, you get killed if you don't get it.
Yeah, you do.
Who
cares?
Dan Campbell doesn't coach that way.
you want to get killed or by the media, or do you want to win a game? Like,
now let's get to the brass tacks of what the fuck has Dan Campbell won, right?
well,
I mean, like,
the division.
okay, he's been
last
around.
year.
He's been around for a few years, about 5 years. He's won a division once, right?
Almost twice. Got to an.
Okay,
he's
it
like
will
the
be.
most
It
success.
depends. I understand, but I mean, he hasn't won anything.
He's the most successful
Like-
coach in like Detroit Lions history.
That's really Wayne Fontes was the most successful coach prior to him, so that's not saying much when it
Well,
comes
maybe
down
maybe
to
Jim Caldwell. He took that team to the playoffs twice.
But I think it's
Maybe.
but I think it's knowing your team. Like if with Ben Johnson as OC, you know that you can dial up a play on 4th and 3
Yeah.
or as a 2-point. Like we have seen so many, and it's funny because it's usually the Giants or the team that is playing the Giants
Yeah, Indianapolis
has the
did it
most
today.
ludicrous. Like just because you're going for 2 doesn't mean you need to use the fanciest play that you have that never works.
You knew the Colts were done today when they fumbled the 2-point play on the sort of
hook and ladder
that Jonathan.
yeah. What was that
fumbled.
about?
It's like,
Well, it would've- in fairness to them, it would have worked.
it would have worked. He
I
caught
think-
the ball.
I think he would've
But
got
you-
there.
But you're just bringing in levels of difficulty that you don't need to bring in. They couldn't stop Jonathan Taylor. Spread him out 4 wide in single back and give Jonathan Taylor the ball. I don't think the Giants were going to stop him.
And the Bills have unlocked that now with Josh Allen. And
Yes.
we've noticed that, I mean, Paul, you'd probably noticed it probably the past 4 weeks that all of a sudden the Bills play from the 1 and 2 yard line is just spread them out, Josh Allen over the top. Not even a tush push. They do bring an H-back in to push him. I think it was Gilliam. They brought in to push him from behind, but James Cook is split out wide. Like, just move guys out of there and let this gigantic man go over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah, except for that one time when they tried it against the Rams, didn't get it, and it killed the clock on them. That was a bad decision to do that then. You had to get it at that point instead of just getting it on the next play. The final thing is Tom Brady, back to Tom Brady for a second, him not knowing the rules about timeouts.
No, he had no idea what was going on. He didn't understand whether you could call 2 timeouts there, whether a play had been run, whether that was a penalty. He was very confused.
So, yeah, those
He also started the game by listing the teams that the Packers had lost to this year. He said, "Oh, they lost to the, they've lost twice to the Lions. They lost a game to the Rams." And he's like, "Who else?" Or the Eagles. He's like, "And they lost to someone else. I can't remember the game you're calling." The Vikings, the game you would have in theory watched several times to get ready for this game. That's the game, Tom.
Do you think that Jeff Ulbrich knows all the play?
Jeff Ulbrich is the worst interim coach in the history of interim coaches. The worst. Like, I couldn't fathom, because he didn't get just 1 or 2 games. He got like 2/3 of a season to try his hand at this. And he is so bad. That defense didn't bother showing up. Now, my supposition is maybe the Jets knew that next week's the real Super Bowl because the Dolphins, with the Broncos losing.
So they punted this Super
they
Bowl.
Knew
They're
that-
0-2 in Super Bowls the last 2 weeks.
They knew that next week's game was the real Super Bowl. And like, I don't know what I should bring as snacks to Super Bowl Sunday next week.
You should probably bring like a tear rag for yourself.
No, I think I got to bring some good snacks for the Jets' big Super Bowl against the Dolphins next week.
So let's talk about the Jets here, Kenny.
Oh,
I got
God.
I got some stuff on the Jets. Coming out of halftime, they talked to Ulbrich coming back out after scoring 0 points in the first half. Do you know what he said that they had to do as the key to their success in the second half?
What, Pat?
He said, "Quote, got to do us."
That's been working. That's been a real solid strategy this year.
Stat of the day comes from our main man James Coe on Twitter. Josh Johnson, who had 1 completion for 16 yards coming in for Lamar Jackson against Houston, had more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers did today.
Yeah. Not
Hey,
good.
Aaron Rodgers broke a record.
He did.
today.
Most sacked quarterback in NFL history.
There you go. 566, 567, most. Yep. So he got a record today.
And he's sitting at $4.99. They said he's going to start next week. I hope he gets it. I hope the Jets win next week. I'd love to see them knock the Dolphins out of the playoffs. That would be a lot of fun.
I think everyone wants to see the Bengals in, so everyone's probably rooting for the Jets next week.
Well, okay, let's talk about the Bengals. I don't even if they make the playoffs, I don't think that Joe Burrow wins.
Everyone's not. Bills fans aren't hoping for it.
Well, okay. Well, actually, let's curb the Bengals talk for a second. I have some more Jet stuff here.
Oh, God.
This guy's tweet is just amazing. Steak F at Steak Friend on Twitter says, "The Jets getting Aaron Rodgers is like finally banging your high school crush, Kenny, when she's 40 and has 4 kids."
I still dive in, so I mean, I'd still take it.
You be there?
I'd be there.
And the other one was the Sauce Gardner T. Higgins exchange on Instagram, where T. Higgins was big, get me in the game, coach, get me in there. And Sauce Gardner commenting on Instagram that they should pay that man. And then a Jets fan commenting to Sauce Gardner that, hey, let's get him on the Jets. And he said, I would seriously not advise him to come to the Jets.
Great.
They're going to lose Gardner and Garrett Wilson.
Both desperately want out. And can you blame them? Things have gone so terribly.
But you think that they should keep Rodgers and Devontae Adams for next year, for their 1 year
what other
tribute
choice
tour.
they've
Maybe
got.
it can be like when Kobe retired and they give him fucking surfboards at every game that he goes to, instead of keeping Garrett Wilson.
I don't know what choice they have next year. Like
can't. Garrett Wilson's gone, right? He's been talking that's behind.
I know
behind the scenes for
what do you do?
A couple weeks now.
Like, what do you do? Like, you don't bring him back, you cut him. Okay, is there anybody to receive the snap on week 1 when the ball goes back there? Like, no, you don't really have any quarterbacks. Like, what are you gonna do? It's not his fault.
Bring back Darnold.
What?
I said blow it all
Bring
up.
back
It's over.
Darnold.
No. Would they as much
It's
as
over.
Darnold would be nice? No, you can't. You can't bring him back, and they can't trade up to the Patriots for the first pick because that trade could never happen. So, like, what are you gonna do? I mean, maybe if I don't know who.
Jameis.
I mean, Jameis would be exciting. I'd be on board with Jameis, I guess. Like, I don't know, man. It's all very. I don't need to think about it yet. I'm ready to see the Jets one last time for the season. They haven't lost in 2025. I'd like to see them one last time, play a great game, and then that's it. I don't want to think about them for like 2 months. I don't want to think about them for 2 months.
I mean, Kirk Cousins was almost Jets quarterback once when you said he was a top 5 quarterback and better than Rodgers.
Yeah, I didn't want him.
But would you want him now?
I mean, compared to what?
How could you sign Kurt Warner out of the broadcast booth?
No.
I mean, he keep Albrecht. They both have great beards.
Yeah, well, he had a puffy coat on last night to match that beard.
Listen, I'm someone
Like,
who...
he was in LA too, right?
Yeah,
He was wearing like a winter silver coat, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
played college in Iowa.
It reminded me of Bryson at the Showdown when he was wearing that big ass puffy jacket. I was like, "What's going on?" He's in Vegas.
Orlando asks, Brock Bowers set 2 records today. Any chance he can get Offensive Rookie of the Year? I would say absolutely not.
No.
Jaden Daniels is going to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And if it's not him, it's Bo Nix. And if it's not him, it's probably Brian Thomas, who was awesome.
Bowers is playing fantastically. No stripe against him. Just it's a bad year.
JD5,
Just a bad
second
year.
rookie in NFL history with 4,000 plus yards and 10 wins in his rookie season.
It's the other
The
one,
other
Dak.
one's Andrew Luck.
Luck. Okay.
I'm going to drop that tweet in there again. Need some of you to go retweet that once again for me. I do want to talk about the MVP before we go to... Actually, Paul, we got the break queued up? We got it queued up. All right, we're going to talk about the MVP, get to the lines, and who's not going to score the first touchdown right after this. Introducing to you the TGL presented by SoFi Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN+. This is a simulator plus real chipping, real grass, and real green league featuring some of the PGA Tour's biggest players like Tiger and Rory and Xander. Only 2-hour matches inside of a stadium and has other sporting elements like timeouts, refs, and overtime. You tee off from real grass into a screen. You might end up in the rough, or real sand, and have to play it back into the screen out of there. After that, they use the technology to drop it by a real green side area plus a real putting surface, getting everyone involved in the contest. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. To learn more, visit tglgolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf. For 11 months of the year, staying motivated is not a problem for me. Then December hits, the holidays are around, I'm out of my normal routine, and it becomes a struggle to stay motivated and keeping myself laser focused on work and health and getting exercise in every single day just because everything's so out of whack with my schedule being thrown off. The one thing that I've been doing to make sure that I stay on the right path every single day is waking up and drinking my AG1. I get my essentials for nutrients and supplements every single day, and it just makes me feel so good. It makes me motivated to continue to stay focused on what I need to accomplish every single day, no matter how out of the regular routine that my life starts to get AG1 is a sponsor of the Pat Mayo Experience, so this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprisingly delicious daily health drink. That's why I'm so excited to be partnering with them. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs inside your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/mayo to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/mayo to start your new year off on a healthier note. Tim, you said you were, after doing your AG1 taste test on the show last week, you're all in on AG1?
I loved it. I was a big fan. It was great.
Kenny, was today the worst day of the season in football to watch?
It was horrible. I mean, honestly, this week was really bad. Like, 5 of the 6 Island games were unwatchable. Like, the only one that was watchable was that Broncos game. Everything else was either a blowout or 6-3 or some shit like that, right?
I mean, the Cardinals tried. The Cardinals turned the ball over on 4th downs, and there were 2 picks in the red zone.
That's almost a turnover.
Yeah. Like, the Cardinals outplayed the Rams last night and probably should have won the game. That game was
every
compelling.
time I watched that game, they were driving and they get to the 40
and get nothing.
Of the Rams,
Yeah.
and it would get nothing. Like, every drive got to, like, the other side of the field, but then they just stopped.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, and then today, I mean, what? The best game of the first slate was
Giants
Colts.
Colts, Giants. Yeah, it was just really bad day. I mean, the thing is, like, overall, the NFL product's not really that great.
No.
You know, that's why if you didn't gamble, or if you don't have, like, a team that you really root for, like Tim and I mean, it's got to be hard to watch.
It's been a bad year for football.
I don't know about that. Because, the Broncos played in primetime a bunch, and those games were fun. Well, the Broncos carried the Browns to a pretty fun game. The Dolphins could not carry the Browns to a fun game today.
No, but Huntley's numbers look stupendous. If you didn't watch that game, don't think for a second he played well. He didn't. Tyreek made some nice plays.
He had a few nice rushes.
Huntley was better than he has been. He wasn't very good.
DT Cust is a great nickname.
Oh, just the worst. Just the worst.
That's how you tank right there. Imagine having Drew Lock come in, post 5 touchdowns on you. Like, no, Drew. Where's DeVito?
And now next week.
That's the story of the week, right? All these teams that have a chance to get the number 1 pick just winning. Like the Giants fucking themselves. The Raiders winning back-to-back to get out of the number 1. I don't even know who the quarterback is, but a lot of teams are playing themselves out of the quarterback race. And the 2 that I'm thinking of are the Giants and the Raiders. And I hope they keep winning because the Giants, of course, are in my division. I'd love to see them just struggle at quarterback for life.
And the Patriots play all backups against Buffalo next week. The Patriots lose and they win the 1 seed. But, like, the Bills aren't going to play anybody. They're locked into the 2 seed.
Well, this is
like, what do you do if you're the Patriots? I say, Drake May, you sit down for a while. What do you do if you're the Patriots? So you really don't want to win that game, but at the same time, the players definitely want to win that game.
Yeah, you have to actively take the players out of the game.
You do, because as a franchise, it is in your best interest to have the first pick overall and trade it for something or take a player. But my gracious, like, they want to win.
Or you can just keep playing Drake May, who doesn't win any games.
No, I mean, maybe against, but, you're up against Mitchell Trubisky.
Hey, former top 10 pick.
Yeah, okay.
They have who was that guy who caught the garbage time touchdown?
Tyrell Shavers.
Shavers. Hardly knew
I
us.
had no idea who he was, and I watched every Bills game.
Hey, Shavers, you're a Leavers. But we were talking about the MVP because they made a big thing about that. Romo, it was funny how comical Romo thought the whole thing was. Like, if Josh Allen, you got to keep him in to get this touchdown because that's got to swing the whole thing.
I think he was joking.
I know, that's what I mean. He was making a farce of it all.
Yeah.
But do you think that they play him? Because you mocked Josh Allen after the game when he did his interview.
I thought there was some false modesty, perhaps.
He asked if it, like, hey, are you like, do you think that you're the MVP? He's like, I really don't care. And you're like, how dare he say he doesn't care?
I think the right answer there is to say, look, I want to win the MVP. I've done my best. It's up to the voters. It's out of my hands. Whatever happens, I'm focused on winning a Super Bowl. That's, to me, like the right political answer. Like, to say, I don't care. Like, of course he cares. Of course he wants to be the league MVP. Like, come on.
He is the league MVP.
I think he is. And you knew that today's game was like a Super Bowl because when the
look at his team compared to everyone else. He has like nobody. It's basically what JD5's doing out there. With a bunch
Well,
of
not
backups.
quite. Like again, as I said, kept saying.
Other
Pat,
than James Cook.
I think James Cook is a really good running back.
But when
I think he's good.
If we sat here and did a ranking of the skill position players for the Ravens and the Bills, I think Henry is very clearly number one.
Yes.
And Zay Flowers is probably better than James Cook.
I think that's
Yes.
close, but yes. And then Cook is 3.
And then Bateman's
And
probably
I
next,
think
or
Bateman's
Andrews.
probably better than
Or-
all the receivers they got too.
Like Cooper showed up a little bit today, but he doesn't
he
really
did. Nice
do
touchdown.
anything. Maybe Mac Hollins is the best. That guy's amazing.
Yeah. Shakir.
Yes, Paul.
I'll just explain to Cust because like he probably doesn't understand as a Jets fan who has a quarterback who wants all of the attention, whether it's good or bad. Is that Josh? If you put a microphone in front of him, he is going to give you the most vanilla answer that puts no blame or tension on anybody in the franchise. He's perfect for that. Of course, he wants to win, but he's not going to say it on camera in that situation.
Well, no, but the way I described, you could have said it would have been a little bit more political. But yes, that's very different from somebody who's looking to settle scores at all times.
Yeah, the happiest Aaron Rodgers was in that game is when he committed the late hit.
Yeah, he commits a penalty for a late hit, and he's like laughing and smiling about it. Like, we're down like 19-0, and you just threw a pick. Like, oh yeah, way to be excited, Aaron. Like, come on, man. Like, don't do this to me.
one thing
I'm the
I'll say-
last person out here defending you, please.
The one quarterback other than Josh Allen that has done more with less
Oh, please.
is
Kitty.
Jaden Daniels. It's Jaden Daniels.
No, like, listen.
Look. Everybody in the skill. Look at Jaden's skill position guys. They would not start in any other team in the league except for Terry. There's no starters on the team.
Brian Robinson would probably
None.
play on most teams.
Yeah, Brian Robinson would play.
Maybe, but he's not that good.
He's all right.
Well,
All right.
He's all right.
I think you
I'm
forget
telling
that. I think you forget that Washington's offensive line is kind of dog
I mean,
shit.
Kenny's
that,
point is well taken.
I mean, yes.
Washington is not rich at the skill position.
The way I would describe it is kind of the way that Paul's been describing it. Now, maybe I'm just talk to a Bills fan every day, and this is getting ingrained in my mind. But if you took Josh Allen off the Bills, they'd be the Patriots.
Yeah.
If you took Lamar off the Ravens, they'd be like a borderline 500 team, maybe. They're really good with him. And listen, he could win, and it would make sense. He leads in every category. I just feel like the degree of difficulty with Allen is much higher. If you go rewind to the beginning of the season, when people talked about the Bills, this is a step back year for the Bills because they only have one good player, Josh Allen. Well, they still really only have one good player, and he has them
It's
the second best
sort
record.
of a career achievement award to give him the MVP this year.
And if Lamar hadn't won
Because
last year,
it
then
probably-
Lamar probably wins this year.
Like, it's not that he's undeserving. He certainly is deserving. He's played a fantastic season. And if he wins, like, that's well earned. But, like, I don't think he's had the best season of any player in the NFL. I think Lamar's had a better season. And I think, depending on what numbers Burrow puts up in Week 18, Burrow might have had a better statistical season. But that's not what you're not voting on who has the best numbers. You're voting on the person you think is most valuable to his team, and if the voters think that is Josh Allen this season and he hasn't won it before, then okay, that's fine. I mean, he certainly wouldn't be an undeserving winner.
The real answer to that question that you're asking is Patrick Mahomes, but he's just not in.
But he hasn't had good enough of a season to earn this.
It's funny because he has been really good for the past 7-8 weeks. And
Yeah.
his numbers are awesome.
It's
It's
just
just the beginning of the year kind of sunk him statistically
Yes.
versus everyone else. But now people are talking about Burrow being the MVP if Cincinnati makes the playoffs.
The last couple of weeks, the Chiefs have really shifted into top gear. And
Do you think Burrow has a chance? If Lamar and Allen both sit next week, let's say.
No, I don't.
Pittsburgh draws the Saturday game.
no, I don't.
I don't think he can.
No, I don't. I think he can win Offensive Player of the Year.
You think that he would beat Barkley?
I think he could. If he throws for 350 yards, he's going to have 5,000 yards passing.
But he's going to win comeback player of the year, too.
No, I think Darnold is almost certainly going to
Darnold
come
can't.
back.
He wasn't injured last year.
Well, but the rules are real, like, iffy.
It's going to be Burrow. He got hurt, was out for the season. He came back and threw 5,000 yards. It's him.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
either him or J.K. Dobbins.
I think it's still Darnold, but
But he didn't come back from anything.
well, he didn't play all last year. Did he take
he
5
was the backup.
snaps?
He came
Like,
from being the backup.
Yeah, I don't know. Enough Bill stuff.
Didn't
We'll
Gino
talk about the
win
Bills.
comeback one? Didn't Gino win comeback player of the year? One
Yes,
year?
from
Yeah,
just
but they
not-
changed the voting outline of how
Yeah,
this
it's the
works.
same way
now.
like Flacco won. He didn't come back from an injury, right? He just came back from not playing. He came back from being a Jet, which is usually the number one, which is why Darnold will win, because being a former Jet is like the thing that gives you comeback player of the year.
This guy keeps yelling at you that the Dolphins are already out of the playoffs.
Okay, well, sure.
Were they with the Colts lost? Did they need the Colts to
They
get
needed
there
the
too?
Colts to lose, and they did.
No, I thought they needed the Colts to win.
No, they could not beat the Colts on a tiebreak. The Colts are now eliminated. The Dolphins one is real simple. Denver lost, they win, they're in. Cincinnati needs Denver and Miami to lose, plus they need to win. That's like it's actually not that complex. Denver's in with a win. Miami's in with a win and a Denver loss. Cincinnati's in with a win and a Denver and Miami loss.
So in your third consecutive Super Bowl next week, this time against Miami.
The mega Super Bowl. The Super Bowl.
Where they may or may not have Tua in this game. We'll see.
I think they probably will. He could possibly go.
If he can possibly go, they will have him out there for sure. Waddle will be out there for sure too. But is it worse? Because, I mean, even if they win, they might not...
God, don't put us on Saturday night. That just occurred to me. Oh, my God, do not put me on primetime. Do not put me through that. I don't need any more eyes on Aaron. I don't need any more eyes on this team. I don't want to finish this way. Dear God, please, NFL, do not give me that Saturday night game. Oh, my goodness. It just occurred to me.
Saturday?
What?
This coming Saturday?
Yeah, I don't want that.
We should go live.
Do not.
We'll go
Do
live.
not.
We'll do if they make the
Just to
Jets
torment
one of
you.
the Saturday games, we will go live and watch the game.
No,
together.
no, please.
We might even be able to get Tim Butts to come out.
No.
The best was Butts was away this weekend and texted us, Kenny, and we just get the messages like, "Oh my God, Tua is out. This is going to be unwatchable."
Just please. This has been such a bad year. Don't subject me or the world to another Jets primetime game. That's all I ask. Put me in the jumble at 5 o'clock with the Dolphins and everybody.
Do you think your dad would come on the show?
No.
Are you sure?
So.
If I go ask Doug, you've never asked him. If I ask him, I bet you he'll come on.
I don't think so. I just please. I just don't put me on prime time.
If you're gonna get that, you got to get grandma on the show too. Just have the whole Cuss family.
Yeah, I'll bring some
next
bananas
weekend.
for you guys to
That would be
watch with
incredible
Palmolive.
because I have questions for Grandma Cuss, just like everybody else, that watches the show. I have questions, and that's what we need. We need Dad Cuss and Grandma Cuss out there with Tim on a show. Meet the Cuss. You know what I'm saying? Make it a weekly thing. It would be great. I'd watch.
Who's not scoring the first touchdown?
Kyle Pitts.
He is the Pitts.
Yeah, he's not good.
I think I would take Zacchaeus. Would be my bet. He's 14-1. I'm looking at Cool Bet right now. He's 14-1. Maybe I can find.
I would pick McLaurin to get it.
McLaurin to get it.
Yeah,
he likes touchdowns.
he does.
That's
He
for
does.
Sure. Are there any guys that you feel very strongly about in this evening's game for underdog? We won last week's.
I like the Penix overs.
Like Penix over passing touchdowns. Like there's
Passing
a lot,
yards.
There's passing yards.
I would like his over passing yards. If there's no Lattimore out there, and our friend Saint-Just is going to be an integral part of that Commander secondary, there are going to be a lot of yards available, unfortunately, Kenny, for Atlanta.
Yeah, I know. That dude, I hate that dude so
He's the
much.
worst. He's the worst cornerback in the NFL. He probably isn't by the numbers, but every time you see him, he's either committing a penalty or he's being burned by somebody.
Are you sure you're not talking about Sauce Gardner?
Well, Sauce is not always. Sauce actually made a couple of nice plays today and some bad plays today, but he's not getting beat every single time.
So
The season can only end one way, with Saint-Just having a pick six to win a playoff game.
There's a local content creator around here who, after every game, he'll call the Prince George's police department to arrest the worst player on the Commanders, and it's like a live call. Like he's literally calling 911, and he's like, Benjamin St-Just is selling drugs outside of FedEx Field right now. He is out walking to his car. Please arrest him. It's hilarious, right? He does this for every game. So whenever we win a game, like last week, he called Pentagon City Restaurant, which is the local strip club in our area, and tried to get two strippers to go over to Jaden Daniels' house after that win against the Eagles. This guy's hilarious. But St-Just has been, he's been almost arrested because of this guy at least half a dozen times this season. And this guy's hilarious. Literally calls the police, not even joking. The real police station, Prince George, is where FedEx Field is, and tries to get people on the Commanders arrested when they play poorly. And St-Just is the number one culprit.
So he is your local Feinberg?
I guess, but it's hilarious. This guy's funny.
So the official underdog entry is going to be the Penix Mightia over passing yards on underdog, and Zacchaeus over receiving yards of 32.5. Put those together, you win 3 times your money if you have not played on underdog. I just put the link into the chat as well, and if you go open it up right now and you don't have an account, that will get you code Mayo into it, and you'll unlock a free pick for the game as well to boost that up to 6-1 if you want to. And because of your boy, Kevontae Turpin, we got it there last week. He had over half a yard on the first drive.
Told you, Turpin. He's the best player on a bad team.
Additionally,
He's my favorite player in the league. I love him. I've been yelling his praises all season.
You have, and the one thing that I've been betting on prop-wise, they don't offer it on Underdog, but at sportsbooks they do, is Turpin over rushing attempts every week. They just line him up in the backfield and use him as a running back.
He runs the fastest 40 in the league, pretty much. Like, you should get the ball in that guy's hands as often as possible.
Okay. Few more notes before we get to the spreads for next week, which are going to be. So just a few notes from 2 of the games. And we should pat ourselves, Barry Horowitz ourselves. I can't when the shirt's too tight. Got to lose some weight over the next little bit here. It's been a lot of booze, a lot of sugar the past 2 weeks. Really bloated. I'm sure I'm not the only one on that front. But Tampa Bay over 8.5 wins mid-season, came on the show, gave it out to all of you. It cashed with a week to go, and we're still sweating the 9-1 division win and the plus 230 to make the playoffs as well, which is fantastic because they can still get in even if they don't win the division.
They can beat Washington in a tiebreak.
I would just prefer they do that. And the poinsettia parlay 6-1, which you gave out on the show, big winner.
Hey, Merry Christmas! The teaser today did not, but
the Jets didn't.
Yeah,
cover
they
it.
did not. They were amongst. I think I wasn't the only one wrong on that 2-1. But yes, the poinsettia parlay 6-1.
So the other notes from 2 games, and it was just about 2 teams that decided not to cover players on the other team. Do you know which 2 players I'm talking about?
The Carolina Panthers just decided to let Mike Evans run free through their secondary.
For the first 2 quarters, it's like, okay, here's the game plan. We'll cover everyone except Mike Evans, and we'll just see what happens. It was ludicrous.
Unfathomable.
And then, do you remember who the other one was?
Was it Devonta Smith?
It was Wendell Robinson.
Wendell was wide open all the time. He had time to fall down and drop passes. I could not. Indianapolis, by far, had the most humiliating Sunday of any team. And they scored 30 some odd points. To go out that way. Last year, they went out at the end of the year against a rookie on a Saturday night against the Texans. 2 years ago, they missed the playoffs because they lost to like an 18-point underdog in Jacksonville or something. Like, the Colts' losses at the end of the season the last few years has been so terrible. I would not be shocked if the next Monday morning, Shane Steichen
If I were the Jets, I would hire Shane Steichen.
I think he'd be a good offensive coordinator. I don't know that he's proven himself a great head coach.
I mean, Gus Bradley is their D coordinator, who, as Jeff will tell you, not great.
Well, no, I think he'd be a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know. I would not be shocked if Indianapolis, after just miserable loss season after loss season, and the way this team didn't show up again today, if he just is sent packing. I think that would be justly deserved.
Someone in the chat, Kenny, has a question for Tim, but I would like you to answer. How can Turpin be the best player on a bad team when the Jets have the best player at every position?
Okay. All right.
It's a tough one. I mean, the Jets always solid with all their players. Aaron Rodgers, best quarterback in the league. Brees Hall with a great year that everyone was expecting that he would have.
All right.
Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Sauce Gardner, incredible.
Yeah, okay.
Season that he's having.
At some point, isn't this bit a little tired?
You keep saying it.
I don't think
Just leave them be.
It's like when Romo said that Aaron Rodgers had a cannon, but not really anymore.
Yeah, he still sort of, has a cannon in some senses. In some senses. Like, in what sense? Like, does he have a time machine? Does he and Mr. Peabody travel back to the past and are able to see when he did have a cannon?
Quiet, you.
Okay, Mr. Sherman.
Let's get to the spreads for week number 18. Paul, you said there are 15 of them available?
There was as of like 5 minutes ago.
Kenny, do you have a pen and paper on you by chance?
I don't.
I could probably do a
I
quick
do not.
little.
All right, so we'll do it the regular way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 16 on the board
All
now,
right.
so I'm going to go with the games that are about to start. They're out of order, of course, but we got Commanders at Cowboys.
Commanders at Cowboys. So here's what I want us to do. And I'll start each time, then Tim will go, then Kenny will go. Come up with your guess, and then we'll do it. So don't wait to hear from everyone else.
Okay.
And everyone say when they're good. And then we're good. It's Commanders at who, sorry?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Commanders at Dallas Cowboys. Okay.
All right. Not knowing if they have much to play for, but I guess they will still have something to play for.
All right, I'm locked in.
Me too.
Kenny?
I got it.
I got Washington by 7.5.
Nope.
I would have said 5.5.
Nope.
Kenny?
I was gonna say 4.5.
So you guys split. It's 5.
All right, so Kenny and Tim split the first one. Next game.
Panthers at Falcons.
Okay.
There's a chance. I mean, they'll schedule Tampa and Atlanta at the same time, right?
Definitely. That'll be our 2 o'clock set of drama, I think.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
You don't,
Me
have
too.
you don't have to say if we're right or wrong, Paul. We'll just each give our guess, then you tell us what the spread is.
You got it.
I got Atlanta by 8.
Atlanta by 7.
7.5.
Kenny wins.
7.5 on the dot for 2 points for Kenny. It's strange. Atlanta's favored. It's tough. Vegas thinks that Tampa is better than Atlanta
I would agree in a vacuum.
because that closed at 10 today
Yeah.
for Tampa. There's a 2.5 point difference.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Smash the like while you're here and retweet that thing for me if you didn't see it already. I'm going to post it in the chat one more time because, need your help on this one to go do it, just like using code Mayo, and sign up for the one and done. That is at fantasygolfchampionships.com. If you tweet me your entry already, more on that on tomorrow's golf show, but you get into a draw for a free entry already as well. Paul, next game.
Saints at Bucks.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
All right, I'm in.
I said Bucks by 6.5.
I got Bucks by 12.5.
I got Bucks by 10.
You're all under. Bucks by 14.
14.
Oh my goodness.
The Bucks were just 10 against Carolina's better than New Orleans is right
Whoa.
now.
Okay. Well, wow. Am I miscalibrated?
The Rattler.
You must really like Rattler and the Saints next week if you think that they're 7 points better.
Ton of points.
The Rattler coming back. Was that against Washington?
Yeah, it was against Washington in the second half, yeah.
That second half is just like dumbfounding. Like, how did that happen?
I guess they were
are so
expecting
bad.
Hainzer in
No
there instead.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, the over rushing yards for Rattlers like a must play every week.
Gee whiz. What a big number.
Next one.
Okay.
Bears at Packers.
I've been off by a line that much all year.
Do the Packers have anything to play
Yes.
for? They do.
Seeding.
For seeding. Okay.
Bears at Packers. All right.
I got Packers by 6.
We'll see how much higher. I have Packers by 10.
Packers 7.5.
Packers 10.
Whoa.
Tim wins.
Tim
On the
nails
number.
it. That Seattle-Chicago game may have been the worst game of the year.
I've ever seen in my life.
There was another
It was
game
so
this
bad.
year, right? It was all field goals, right? The
Rams
Rams
and-
49ers game was all field goals.
Yeah, that was bad too. Maybe the NFC West is just secretly really bad.
Yeah, I'm not super anxious to go pick on the Rams or pick the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. Just
They're
saying.
playing the Commanders, so
Yeah,
it's happening.
maybe.
The Rams will show up and score 50 points or 10 points. There's
Yeah.
really no in between for them.
Yeah,
it
it's hard to
seems.
pick them, isn't it?
Next game, Paul.
Feel like it just disappeared on me.
Well, go to the next one.
I know, but actually, I have it actually in my mind.
All right, in your mind, movies, give us the next game.
It was Ravens at Browns. Oh, there it is. Back.
Steelers.
Sorry, it's Browns at Ravens.
Browns at Ravens. And we don't know if Baltimore's playing anyone. They probably will have to.
Because they need to win.
But we don't know the schedule.
Yeah,
They
but
might.
Assuming they play at the same time, they will have something to play for.
Baltimore by...
The numbers.
Actually, I'm going to write that down. Okay.
Baltimore by 12.5.
I got them by 8.
10.5.
It's a record, I think, for the spread show. 17.5.
Whoa. I mean, look, the Browns are just, come
I
on.
think they're probably maybe
Yes,
they're thinking
Come
that,
on, like you can't like DTR. How many points do
DT
you
cussed.
How many points do you? And honestly, 17.5 makes it. How many points do you got to get from the Browns before you want to step in front of anybody against them?
There's a circumstance here where if the Bengals get up by like 3 touchdowns against the Steelers, the Baltimore's like, all right,
Yeah,
let's take Lamar out. Let's take everyone
but
out.
that also requires the Browns to score enough to cover this number. Ugh, my goodness, that's a huge number, but I see it.
What are you watching on the
Ravens have
on the TV over there?
I just putting the game on.
Putting on Pornhub?
Yeah, sure.
You got live Jasmine popping up on your screen asking you what you're doing?
Yeah, no, I'm putting the Commanders game on. Just want to make sure I don't miss like an opening kickoff for a touchdown or some shit.
Good call. Paul, next game.
Texans at Titans.
Jesus Christ. The Titans are 2-14 against the spread now.
Texans are so bad too right now. How big can I make this number?
All right, I got it.
Yeah, okay. I have Texans by 7.
I had Texans by 6.
10.
It's Titans by 4.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, because
Houston has nothing to play
Houston
for.
has
Houston
nothing
won the
to play
division.
for.
So I get it.
Yes, that's right. Houston
It's,
has nothing to play for.
It's Davis Mills in
Yeah.
his turkey neck.
I still like the Texans in that game.
Really?
I can't lay points with the Titans against anybody, including backups.
Okay. Yeah. Paul, next game.
Bills at Patriots.
Okay. The Bills have nothing to play for. The Patriots have every reason to lose. So they both.
I got my number.
I can't make it as big as I want. Oh my God, this is so tough. Bills by 5.5.
I have Bills by 2.
3.5.
Bills 2.5.
I got
Trubisky's
it.
gonna be trying out there.
Yeah.
This is like basically like.
That's
maybe
why I
he
went
can get another
5.5.
job.
I thought still.
I mean, then you have to,
The Patriots really, really don't want to win this game.
and they're really not good. So
They're
that's
really
helpful,
bad.
too.
Okay. All right.
Are they guaranteed the number 1 seed or number 1?
I
draft
believe
pick
so. If they lose,
If
yeah,
they
I believe
lose,
so,
yeah. But they're the team that doesn't need the. I mean, they need players, but they definitely don't need the number 1 pick.
They don't.
And like we were talking earlier, there's not a lot, especially if the Titans get the second pick.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of trade candidates
No,
for them,
the Raiders, maybe the Saints.
but probably not the Saints.
Yeah. And then, if someone else gets desperate, if you're, I don't know who else could
I mean, Kenny,
Jets?
Yeah, but they'll never make that trade, Kenny. The Patriots and Jets are never making that big of a trade.
Kenny, you watch college football at all?
A little bit more during the playoffs.
Like, are these quarterbacks like between Sanders and Ward, like these like real guys that you would trade up for the first or second pick?
I mean, I don't know quarterbacks that well in college. I can't really say. I mean, like, sure, Sanders looks great, but I mean, I have no idea if it's gonna, follow him to the NFL, and I don't even know who. There's like 2 guys, right? It's Sanders and one other guy
Yeah.
that are like supposedly like the top guys, and I don't even know the other guy's name. So
I would just take Travis Hunter.
It's Cam Ward, and he like quit after the first half in the bowl game last night.
Well,
yeah,
Next game,
I mean, bowl games are worthless.
yeah.
Giants at Eagles.
Okay. Eagles by 1.
I had Eagles by 3.5.
Eagles by 2.
Eagles by 4.
I gets it.
Pat wins.
4-3 is the current score with Tim and I at 4 and Kenny at 3.
Really hard week.
Yeah, this is
Really hard week.
Oh yeah, you have to be thinking of like, what do these teams really legitimately?
Yeah,
have
like,
to
what
play
does
for?
we saw the Irish assassin McKee come in,
Exactly.
light it up
And
for
I
the
just-
Philadelphia Eagles today.
Very difficult to pick these spreads.
That was a good ass throw.
Oh,
They
yeah.
threw it,
Oh,
A.J.
yeah,
Brown.
he sure did.
It was a good ass throw.
Vikings at Lions.
Okay.
So we talked about this one a little bit earlier and what the spread would be.
So I've
So
decided on my number.
I'm decided on my number 2. Kenny, do you have one?
Yes,
I have Detroit by
By
3.
3.
2.5, but it's partially juiced.
Yeah, that'll get to
So
3.
2.5, yeah.
It's got to be 3.
Pat Jablonski says he sees a preseason MVP in McKee's future. Don't sleep on Kenny Pickett, though. Kenny Pickett was the preseason MVP last year when he was
true.
lighting everyone up. You're like, oh my God, Pickett's the future. And he's not on the team anymore.
No.
Next game ball.
Jags at Colts.
Neither have anything
I
to
got
play
it.
for, so I'll just play it normally straight up. And I'll say, you go first.
Colts by 4.
Okay, I had the same thing.
Jags by 1.5.
It's Colts 4.5.
Okay. You split it.
So a tie for you and I on that one. Yeah, it's just a straight up game.
Yeah, it's a straight up game.
And the spread never really seems to move, whether it's Flacco or Richardson anyway.
it doesn't make a difference.
Like, do they win that game today if Richardson's playing?
Maybe, but their defense was horrific, so maybe not.
Yeah. When Alanis Marset is returning touchdowns.
Yeah,
against you.
it wasn't
You
their day.
got a real bad
It wasn't
day.
their day.
Yeah, that's a fan base. Like, it's got to be rough to be a Colts fan right now.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like you had two pretty, very reasonable wins.
Yeah, but they
on
got-
the docket here to give yourself a fighting chance to get into the playoffs.
They won a
And,
Super Bowl a few years
you
ago.
blew it. You
All
blew
right,
it.
let's. If you're just tuning in, the game has not started yet, and Tim, you picked Kyle Pitts not to score the first
That's
touchdown.
right.
And I wanted Zacchaeus to score the first touchdown, which I should probably bet on right now and see if there's a better number out there. Next game, Paul.
Rivalry week. Dolphins at Jets.
Oh, Jesus
See,
Christ.
can I ask, is this a Tua line?
Who
Or is this a
knows?
Huntley line?
I don't know. We're all going into this blind.
You're
No.
down 33-0 against us.
Yeah, I know. No,
Actually,
that's
more.
that's fair. 40-0 at one point.
40-0.
All right. It's in New York, right?
Yeah, it's in New York.
All right.
All right. I got my guess.
Gold pick.
I said Miami by 5.
I got Miami by 2 because it's the stupid Jets.
6.5.
It's Miami 2.5.
Yeah, see, the Jets,
The Jet, you have to factor in that the
credit-
Jets just get 3
they
points
get
every
credit
week.
every week. And if Tua's announced out, I will not be shocked in the least if this game goes off as Jets -1. Jets -1.5.
Like, would you bet on the Jets as a favorite if it's Snoop Huntley?
Yeah, I think I would actually. I think I would. Yeah, if it's Snoop Huntley, I do think the Jets go off as favorites.
All right, Zacchaeus first touchdown, 18-1 is the
Why
best.
not? Why not one more time
the
go
best
off as
number
a
I can
favorite in a
find.
game we're not going to win?
I'd bet the Jets if Tyrod started.
Thanks, Paul.
We got Bengals at Steelers.
Okay, this is the first interesting game. Okay.
Okay, I'm in.
I'm going to say Bengals by 2.5.
I had Bengals by 1.5.
I have them by 1.
Bengals by 2.
I mean, you split. Yeah. So 7 to 6 to 3 is the score right now.
Yeah, I suck at this.
I mean, I usually get my ass kicked by Tim every single week anyway. Would you bet on San Francisco? I know you like
Yes.
San Francisco anyway, but would you bet on them? Like, I don't know what that spread. I assume it's still 3.5 or 4, but just under the potential outcome that Detroit's like,
Yeah, I would.
let's ease off a little bit here.
Just value.
But remember, you say that San Francisco sucks. So
Well, they're not good, but I'm always scared of teams that have some players who have nothing to play for.
next game, Paul,
Seahawks at Rams.
which could be inconsequential after this evening's game.
Could be. Or Mondays. Seahawks at Rams. I like the Seahawks at Rams. Rams by 4.
I got Rams by 2.5.
1.5 Rams.
Pat nailed it. 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any games left?
We got 3 games left here.
Okay, and I just need to get one more
We haven't
point
done
here.
the
And I think I'm
Chargers.
good.
This next one's important. We got the Chiefs at the Broncos.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm locked in. Kenny, you locked in?
Yeah,
I got Broncos by 3.5.
I have Broncos by 6.
I have Broncos by 1.5.
Broncos by 9.
Ooh, that feels like too many points.
Yeah, it's
Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
not just Carson Wentz.
Hey,
no,
Watch it be the first time the Chiefs score over 30.
that'd be funny.
Season
That'd be
with
funny.
Wentz.
Hey, listen,
Watch.
I just watched a Kansas City quarterback this week throw a ball left-handed, flicking it to someone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Carson Wentz. And you know Carson Wentz has probably taught him that on the sidelines.
Here, look
He's like,
what I
do
can
this
do."
all the time. It's usually to the other team, but I try it.
Josh did that today for what should have been intentional grounding, and they let him get away with it.
There must be absolutely nobody nobody touching the field for the Chiefs.
No, the
for
Chiefs-
that
I mean, that's
number to
that.
be
Tim's
justifiable.
right. Like,
That's
Andy
their
Reid
MO.
has the history of not doing it, so the line has to reflect that. I thought even against the backups, Denver wouldn't be that big of a
Yes,
favorite.
that's certainly higher than I thought it was going to be.
Next game.
Chargers at Raiders.
Chargers have seeding to play for. I think they'll play their guys. Raiders have won a couple of games in a row, though.
All right, I got it.
Chargers by 6.
I have 6.5.
I have 3.
Tim nailed it. 6.
Ah, damn it, we're tied with one game to go. 9 to 3. Kenny, you can play spoiler here and force this into a tie, which is a fist fight
All right.
live on air.
I'd be money. I would watch.
You can see us right now. Last game, Paul.
49ers at Cardinals.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm not even going to come close to this.
All right.
All right, I got it. I hope we don't have the same pick.
Arizona by 2.5.
That's exactly what I said.
I was going to go for Niners by 1.
Kenny nails it.
Kenny with the
Wow.
Niners by 1.
final score 9-5. Kenny, good luck this evening. I really hope that Washington wins by 3. How about that?
I'll take a win, but I did take the 3.5 or 4 or whatever it was. So I like that more.
The underdog play is still available. It's Zacchaeus. I bet him first touchdown. Tim said no Pitts first touchdown. So Pitts, who's even bigger odds, but Zacchaeus and Penix over receiving, over passing. On underdog, if you use code Mayo, get that deposit bonus and the free pick. And Kenny, did you know that if you're into the golf streets, golf is back? And you're back on Monday night, I'm assuming?
We will be recording tomorrow night. Yes, sir. Looking forward to. I got the lowdown from a source on what really happened to Scotty Scheffler. So I'll put that out on the show tomorrow night.
Can you give us a tease? Because I already have my show pre-recorded with Jeff where we didn't know that he was injured. It was before he withdrew, so I had to do a pickup at the beginning. But the majority of the show is us talking about like he's there. But we don't really talk about him that much because we weren't going to bet on him anyway.
It involves Tom Kim and Sam Burns. So that's how I'll go about it, and it's totally not true, but it's my take on what really, really happened. And I have the whole lowdown, and I'll have it tomorrow night on the Fantasy Golf Gentleman Show.
Yeah, my research show for golf is already out, along with my best ball strategy and rankings. And if you use code Mayo on Underdog, you will get that deposit bonus, like I said, of up to $1,000. I mean, you can basically do your entries for half price. The tournament's not close to filling. It's $50,000 to first place. It's $10 to play. How many teams do you think you'll end up drafting this week, Kenny? Like 4?
Yeah, at least. I have one that I did with Byron, of course, trying to test out his Dog Dominator on a show a couple months ago when the best ball first came out. I'll be on the draft streets a bunch this week. Probably maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 drafts this week.
Yeah, Jeff and I are back for season 11 of the Golf Pick Show starting tomorrow morning. And then Tambo's not doing it this week with me on Wednesday, so I'll have to find a guest because it's New Year's Day. We'll figure that out. But I'm going to join DGen 75 on Wednesday live on the Ship It Nation channel as well. But all of shows every single day. Our show comes out on Tuesday morning this week.
That's right. And the season finale of Sunday Night Live next week.
Yes, as we're working on a guest for that, which would be kind of perfect. But Kenny, something did occur to me before I let you out of here. You know how I've been talking about doing a live show in Toronto probably at some point next summer?
Sure.
What if it was the Custies Live?
I mean, I would fly in. It would be like an award show. We need like red carpet and stuff like that, and pictures taken in front before the award show. Everyone dressed to the nines. That's how we should make it a golf trip / Custies award show.
That's pretty good.
I want to play golf.
That's pretty good.
That would be fun.
Hey, we're all putting it on Papa Feinberg's tab, going to Oakdale.
And I'm changing my shoes in the parking lot just like he does.
That locker room is so nice.
I bet it's
incredible.
Immaculate.
So we will be back. I'll be back with Jeff tomorrow morning. Jeff, Tim, and I Tuesday morning. We'll have a show on Wednesday. Then Cam and Rob and I will be on Thursday morning. Then maybe even a live show on Friday morning to recap the week and try to come up with everything once the injuries come out and all the statuses come out and obviously the schedule comes out. We'll be there because we're always there for you on the Pat Mayo Experience. So smash the like, sub to the channel, subscribe and download to the audio podcast and get you free ballots into the draw for a free entry at the One and Done Race for the Mayo Cup with $100,000 for first prize, $1 million guaranteed. Just hit the description. You can find out all the info about that. All right, I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.